So when particularly a man says, "Oh, you need to," like
Particularly a man,
particularly a man,
I don't like those words.
in my clinical experience, when I'm telling a man he needs to be trainable, he's going to get defensive automatically. And so words matter. So you have to use words that are going to allow the person to hear it a little bit better so that they can act on it.
Yeah.
Training.
It is called orientation.
And they call it orientations now. A lot of people don't
Yes,
call
it
it
is called
trainings anymore.
orientation.
But it's the same thing. Tomato, right? Like training, orientation, coachable, trainable.
But you have to listen to what she's saying. She's saying if you're in a impasse with your partner, right, and you say, "Man, I just need you to be trainable." No,
Well, I wouldn't say with that.
Who would get defensive.
see, and that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't say with that. I'd be like, hey, listen, babe, I need you to be more trainable. I'm gonna be more trainable. You're gonna be more trainable.
No.
With another girl.
Like I just don't see a man or a woman.
You saw that? You saw that? You saw that? Did that?
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Eight at the Table. Before we get things started, I want to just say thank you so much to all of our supporters, our viewers, our members, subscribers, everybody. We appreciate all the time that you invest in us and watching us and sending us love offerings on Patreon and YouTube and everything. Without y'all, we really would not be what we are. So please keep it up, and we will certainly keep up bringing this fire content to you. So before we hop into we have a super special guest. Before we hop into the topic today, go ahead and introduce yourself. I mean, y'all know them, but for those who don't.
I just want to say you really ate that intro up just now.
Thank you.
Really ate it up. That was good.
It's the long hair.
It's your girl Amanda. Welcome back, you guys. Oh, and Rico.
Yeah. First of all, you know how like you ever see a guy who like wears a suit and all of a sudden he just talks different? that's Elena right
I'm literally
over here.
not talking any different.
Oh yeah, you are. We gonna run this back. It's your boy Rico Honda. You know the vibes.
Well, why are you talking different? Is it the shiny pants?
Yeah.
Pleather boy.
It's actually the leg cross with the shiny pants in combination.
In combination. Got it.
All right. And y'all, you may have seen her before. So she's back to grace us again with her presence. So thank you very much for joining us. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell yourself and tell us what you got going on, where people can find you, everything.
Well, hello, my name is Shanta Blue. I am a licensed clinical social worker and certified sex therapist. You can find me on Instagram as NJ_sex therapist.
You got something going on? Like,
Oh, I always have things.
yeah, let us know. We want the people to support you.
So I actually have my next event coming up, which is my Black Girls Munch and Brunch event that's happening July 21st. It's for women and femmes only, where we talk about a whole bunch of kinky shit. So folks can learn about BDSM.
She did this already last time.
Only for the ladies.
And I realized that you don't care about us.
I don't. No, just saying.
Got it.
But it's important for women to really have spaces to explore their sexuality and learn how to find pleasure on a daily basis.
So just like a snippet, like what can people expect if they sign up in a 10-year event?
So they can expect good food, good drinks.
No, we ain't talking about that. We talking about
drinks, but also
the hunching.
talking about
the munching. What kind of munching is going on over here?
It's not a sex party like that, but we could talk about sex parties later because I know a lot of good ones. But we talk about kink, BDSM, how to do it safely, how to find different ways to explore that lifestyle, and get some resources on how to explore that.
Are you into BDSM?
I am. I do consider myself a kinkster.
A kinkster?
Yes.
So, like, what kind of BDSM kinksterness do you like?
So, I do dom a little bit.
So, you the dom.
So, yes, I hold the power. For
Such
a
a Virgo. Go ahead.
But what does that look like? Because some people may not know what that means.
She comes in with a mask and boots.
I don't
Like
think
work
that's for
boots.
everybody.
No, work boots.
It looks different for
Exactly.
everybody. So it can be me just giving them tasks to do around the house to serve me. It could be.
I think I'm a dom near too.
I think I'm a dom too.
I believe every
done.
woman has an inner dom in them. Okay,
Wait,
The BDSM, the B in BDSM is
bondage.
bondage.
the D is
The
dom.
D is
The D can be dominance or discipline.
okay.
Oh, I didn't know
But,
it would be
but that's
discipline.
different from a dominatrix, right?
No,
It falls under
it
that,
falls
right?
under that umbrella.
Okay.
Let's not go too far off. I want to know exactly what
Because
kind.
when you guys were saying dom, I was like, well, are they talking about dominance or are they dominatrix?
Yeah,
Same thing.
Yeah, I think it falls
can be
under it, yeah.
interchangeable sometimes, but yeah. So you can be a dominant or you can be a dominatrix.
Or disciplinary.
Sometimes it depends on gender. So, and you can provide discipline. I like discipline.
See, this is what I want to get into real quick, right? I don't want to get off on the tangents of terminology. I want to know what kind of demands or doms that you said like serving you around the house, right? I want to get like a very specific, like, okay, come into this house and make me pancakes. Like, can you explain to me like what is your dom? Like that's what I want to know.
hmm So honestly, it really does depend on the submissive who's serving me. So sometimes they just want me to watch them clean up for me. Sometimes I do have to say things like, you're a piece of shit and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing correctly. So do it correctly.
But you don't say it like that, right?
Yeah.
No. I mean, like you don't say it with that soft tone. That's not really
do.
dom.
I'm more of a sensual dominatrix.
You're a piece of shit. You're not cleaning right. That's not. It's like, yeah, baby, say it again.
For everybody, it's different. It depends on what they're looking for. There are some hardcore doms out there. Like I know a lot of them who are amazing and are great with humiliation, degradation, all of that.
Humiliation is like
Like making fun
urination?
of them,
Oh.
like making them feel embarrassed,
really.
humiliating them.
So is like
Ooh, child.
peeing a form of humiliation? Like peeing on?
It can be.
Like, does that fall into that category?
It can be. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I just
Those
want to
are
learn more about you.
The golden showers, the
Yeah.
wet work, all that.
Are you into the golden showers?
He's trying to get more information. He's gonna go home and
Yeah.
work his
As
magic.
long as he pay for it.
Are you into the golden showers?
Giving, yes. Not
Giving.
Receiving. No.
Okay. How does a woman give a golden shower?
Do you,
You
like
pee.
squat?
You squat.
Over? Okay.
It's like a human toilet.
So like I sit underneath you
You pee on their chest.
and you would, well, it probably depend on the person, right? Some might want his face, right?
they might want to drink it.
You mean like actual swallow?
Yes. Swallow. Some might.
Can I change my
Spit it
drink?
out.
Because
I just
It
wanted
looks
to know. I'm
kind
curious.
of
like-
triggering. My drink is kind of triggering. It's like a little urinish.
I mean, I hope don't nobody pee look like that. Child, that means you need
Have you ever had somebody drink your piss?
drink some water.
Yeah, I told you I've been dehydrated.
Jesus Christ.
Like your piss tastes like
you
Hennessy.
need to-
Imagine
you
that.
need a bottle of water. If your
Poland
piss looks like
Springs.
that.
Not Poland Spring. But so wait, has anybody ever drank your piss?
Yes.
This is interesting.
I mean, I would think that's how she know.
Right.
She's a licensed certified.
So
sex
these
therapist.
are two separate
Worlds?
like worlds for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
so-
people will
Your
probably
BDSM life
confess.
has nothing to do with
My career, no.
your career.
It's just fun.
Right.
I enjoy it.
Could
It's
you
more
just
like a
touch
hobby.
base on that, please? Because being a clinician and BDSM are
Mhm.
two very separate worlds.
Participant.
So yes, being a certified sex therapist is completely different from being a dominatrix in my nightlife, I like to call it. So being a clinician as a sex therapist, you are bound by certain ethical guidelines. There's rules and regulations that you need to follow, and never shall the two mix, essentially. And with being a clinical sex therapist is really about providing mental health care, making sure people understand who they are and how they want to show up in the world. Whereas being a dominatrix is going to be more so helping people find and, experience pleasure specifically. Like I am that catalyst that helps them experience that pleasure.
Well, I know you said the two don't mix, but I'm sure you've learned things being a clinician that helps you in this. Like, what came first?
So being a clinician actually came first.
Okay.
I started off in social work, working at a high school, and then I was asked to teach a sex ed program, and I was like, oh, I get to talk about sex all day and do therapy. So yeah, that's where the love for sex education kind of came from. And then from there, from taking classes, finding other dope clinicians who were also doing like sex work or in some type of kinky lifestyle, I was like, oh,
You found your way
I
to.
found my way. Like this is a
Gotcha.
thing that I can do, and I absolutely love it.
Do you teach on the college level at all?
I do.
Oh, awesome.
I
Where?
teach at a local college, at Bloomfield College, part time.
Oh, that was actually one of my like favorite classes in college. It was sex
Human sexuality.
human sexuality. That
Mhm.
was
I
it.
teach that class.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a fun class. It was like an old white lady that was teaching it, and it was like 500 people
is.
in the class. Oh, really? Why?
Because it's still a newer profession, human sexuality. So it's
Oh.
only been around probably for about 50, 60 years or so,
Okay. Well, that
maybe a
makes
little bit more. Like it's not like full out psychology that has been around for like hundreds of years at this point.
Gotcha.
And so there's still not a lot of particular people of color who are in the field. There's a good amount of us, but
right.
it still pales in comparison to the amount of white people that's out there.
No
what you
pun
did?
intended.
Yeah. See what you did there.
I would have loved to take a college level.
Oh yeah,
sex
no, it's
class.
fun. It was like one of my favorite classes.
By the way, it's an elective.
Yeah.
And hard to get into.
By the way,
It's always
Get
full.
into. It's
Unless-
always full.
unless you are in graduate
I took
school,
women's studies. I did.
unless you are in graduate
Worse.
studies, human sexuality is a great class to take. You're gonna have a great time. Usually, every professor who does it, and I can tell because of you, you're gonna have a good time.
Mhm.
So, take it.
If I was in that,
No, it's a
No,
fun
I'll be
class.
in there
Like
scoping out.
I love it. I love it on undergrad. I love it on graduate. I love it on every level.
It's an interesting
Well,
class.
I took sex education in high school. It was mandatory.
It's not the same.
It's not.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like it. It was boring.
My sex ed in high school was lit. Like the girl, well, not a girl, the teacher would call herself the penis and vagina lady. Like she was fun.
We had a he was an older foreign guy, so nobody really respected him. There was a language barrier.
Oh god.
That was like a pushover class. Like he was a pushover teacher. Like everybody came to that class to chill.
well,
we
that's
didn't
not
learn-
effective.
We did not learn anything.
Again, this was a private school.
That was elementary school.
Uh-oh.
I very much went to a public high school.
Oh, you did?
Mhm.
Oh, this whole time you were making jokes. I thought she went to like private school
No,
like your whole
my
life.
Private school was elementary.
Oh.
I went to a performing arts high school.
Oh yeah, you did go to one of those schools. Okay. So we have this new thing. I don't think we were doing it the last time you were here, where we ask our guests 3 questions. And did you remix yours this time? Because I know you said last time.
Remixing.
I'ma go last.
Yes. We did say we were going to remix your
He
question.
said that.
Okay.
Well, I'll start off. I typically don't go first, but I will. What is your go-to drink?
My question.
No, it
Old
ain't.
fashioned with bullet.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite liquors.
Somebody, yeah, was it you that said the same thing? Somebody said the same exact
Disco
thing.
Dave, shout out to Disco Dave, said the same thing.
Oh, he
Oh,
did.
yeah,
He
okay.
did.
I'm like,
he
I
did. He said bullet.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's the part that I was.
They
like,
say
wait,
Sagittarius
somebody
and
said that.
Virgos are very much alike,
Oh,
Get
and he's a
that.
Sag, and so is she.
My best friend is a Sag.
I'm not lying.
Last 2 people
I
I,
don't know.
dated, Sag and Virgos. Don't recommend.
You're a Gemini.
Wow.
don't
I
think-
can't speak for Virgo men, but Virgo women are amazing. So
The worst.
Not astrology.
Okay, we won't get into it. We won't get into it.
Sorry.
Okay. So, second question is if you had to go to dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
it would have to be my mom's dad because I never met him. He passed away way before I was around. He passed away when my mom was in college, actually. But it's a big part of my family that I don't really know about, and I would love to learn more about that.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's actually
Yes.
pretty dope.
I have a family member like that too. Like my family literally talks about my great grandmother all the time, and I'm just so sad I never got to meet her.
And they literally talk about him all the time. They have so many funny stories about how he would just come home, give my grandmother his check for the day, and then go out and drink with his buddies. Like he sounds like a really dope guy. So I was like, I need to know more about him. So I would love to sit down and there's a cultural piece in there too, but that I want to learn more about that we just don't know about.
Where was he from?
So his family was native to the Americas. So
Okay.
I know a lot of
knew it.
people, black people say like, oh, I got Cherokee in my family, but my grandfather was actually
That's
Cherokee
cool.
and black.
Nice.
Like we have documentation for it. So I would love to learn more about that culture.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
So the next time I ask or anybody asks you, stop saying that African American thing. You are a native. My question.
Your question.
You clearly didn't hear what she just said.
No. We had a conversation before prior to filming.
No, but she just said that he was African American and indigenous.
But she's indigenous.
I don't claim it because I don't know much about it.
I know, but you're indigenous.
It's like me saying I'm
Thank you.
Spaniard.
Okay.
And like not.
You're one of us.
Ask your question. Thank
We're
you.
together here.
Just an extra question. Enough of this.
So other than anybody that you've already been with,
Mm-hmm.
if you only had 24 hours to live and you got the chance to be intimate with anybody, and it can't be somebody you've already been intimate with, who would it be?
Do I have to know this person?
No.
No, it could be like
Anybody.
Anybody.
What's your last
Morris
literal
Chestnut.
hours?
Like, it doesn't matter who it is.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh.
Absolutely.
We have the same birthday.
That's a
Okay.
good pick.
You're not Michael B. Jordan.
Man's about you.
Oh, yes, he's fine.
Before or after his face injection? Because this is like, they ain't no alleged. I saw the pictures. They put them side by side. I said, well, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Him now in the Creed series.
Okay.
That's what I need
I
in my
literally
life.
just watched the last
Longer?
Creed, the other.
You don't.
Not Killmonger.
What about
He
Hardball?
was fine there too.
I haven't seen any of the Creeds.
Oh,
I
they're
literally
so
had to
good.
watch
And I love
Creed
me
1
some
and
Tessa
2 to go
Thompson,
watch.
too.
You
I don't know
gotta
who that
watch the
is.
movies.
No, but when I saw him as Killmonger, I said, "Okay, Michael, we see you."
Oh yeah, he was good looking.
Okay, like I've never paid attention to him before that, but I was just like, "We see you."
You know, honestly,
Does a man's body make a woman forget how they look, like their face?
no, but
Yes,
he's
it helps.
It can help.
Okay.
He's
It can
handsome,
help.
though.
It helps
I'm just-
a
Why
lot.
would you say that now? He's handsome.
Nah, because like, if a dude don't got a body, and then he do like, cause I mean, Michael B. Jordan been out for a long time, and we didn't hear nothing about it till the Creed came.
Where has he been?
No, but actually, I did.
Fruitvale
know-
Station.
I said he's been out for a long time.
He was on a soap opera too.
Oh, really?
I can't remember
I
which
actually
one,
don't
but he
even
was
know
on,
Young and the
like,
Restless.
Young and the
Michael
Restless
B.
or something
Jordan
like
of
that.
him, but I definitely knew him before Creed and Black
Well,
Panther.
No, we admitted.
It doesn't matter where he came
played
from.
in,
Combination of the face and the body together, because for me,
Yeah,
if
he's a fine
you don't have
man.
to have like a
Fine.
perfectly
Fine as
perfect
hell.
body, like all those muscles and stuff, it turns me off a little bit. So if your face and your demeanor is not like cool and you got a good vibe, I'll be like, ugh.
Mhm.
He was on The Wire. That's where he started out.
Oh yeah, he was. He was,
was
on, the
on
Wire.
Hardball.
Oh my God, yes.
Hardball, back. I'm talking about when.
It's been out for a minute, right?
That's what I'm saying. So like nobody
been at
was
least
talking about
20
him
years.
until Creed came out, and he
You
had
remember
an
that movie
eight-pack.
That's
Blackout?
not true, Rico. Nobody was talking about him till he got a trainer.
Nobody was talking about him till Killmonger.
I never even heard of
No, that's a
Killmonger.
lie, though.
It's Killmonger.
Killmonger. I'm sorry.
How
you say it?
I'm not gonna
Killmonger.
lie, he did get
Wakanda
did I say?
Forever.
more buff.
This
He
is all
killed that
new.
role. He killed that role.
did.
Wakanda
How
Forever.
do you
But I
pronounce
was,
it?
Killmonger.
I was actually
Killmonger?
more
I said
attracted
kill
to Black
A-monger?
Panther in that movie. I'm not.
Wait,
Wait,
gonna
is
lie.
Killmonger Wakanda?
Remind me of his.
Yeah,
name.
when he was like, bury me in the ocean with the rest of my ancestors.
That was after Creed.
Chadwick Boseman.
No, it wasn't.
Creed 1 came out before
I've known
Wakanda.
him
Definitely didn't
before
see Creed
Black
1,
Panther,
but
but
definitely
something
saw
about Black
Wakanda.
Panther.
Yeah.
That's the
made
point
me
I'm
be
making.
like,
Set it off
yo,
on
And
that.
Creed 1 is when he
He is
came out and they were
so
like, oh
fine.
my God. But I ain't gonna lie, his physique.
Zeke.
Ooh, child, make
I got
sure
everybody
you
with
get
an
this because he
accent.
think
Wait,
this Negro think he the smartest thing since Einstein came over here on his ESL.
This a white man's language. I don't even know this.
We're speaking the King's English.
Aaron,
I'm
wear ESL.
I know that was the joke.
We're speaking. No, but he did a good job in Creed. He did a really good job. And you know the thing is, you know what I like about Michael B. Jordan?
Not.
Is like I feel like he's that next
American.
actor. He's the next big actor for the next generation.
I don't know. My next
don't
big
think so.
actor is Damson Idris. Yeah.
She really
Everybody
likes
loves
him.
him.
You see?
I feel like every
like
time
him.
I don't get
he's
it, but-
mentioned,
Oh, not like, and I mean,
I don't get it.
Like that.
no, it's all of no, it's about like the art.
Mm.
Like he is he
Wait, who is that? Who is that?
He's from that show. that you like.
Franklin Saint.
I'm not sold.
What show is that again that you really
The
like?
guy that had to call.
I know.
Remember?
Snowfall.
Snowfall. Yeah, he's not. I give
didn't
him 3
watch that
years.
show.
I didn't watch it either.
I give him 3 years.
Crazy.
3 years. I mean,
He called the
Trying to tell me
spirits.
to watch it. I
Right.
still
He
gonna make
haven't got on it.
No.
Everybody talks about how
So
good
did
it
Michael
is,
B.
but
Jordan, though.
I can't get into it.
Yes, he did.
Now that
It's
it's
good.
ended,
people don't know that Michael B. Jordan needed.
Guys, voices,
I get some time
voices,
over the summer.
voices, please.
Michael B.
Bring it back, Aaron. You don't want. We had this conversation.
Yeah.
Aaron. So we had this conversation, right?
Yeah. Guys, so are we done talking about Michael B. Jordan? Rico, you were really on it.
No,
Anything else about?
Lonnie wanted to.
She was on it.
Lonnie wanted to talk about
just answering.
Snowfall.
No,
because-
do you want to finish what you were saying about like how women consider, how do they consider faces and bodies and what's the?
I mean, you guys already went off on a tangent. I said one thing and it became a whole thing. We just move on.
Okay, then we can get it back. Don't go back.
Okay, so we have our lovely guest here today, so we're gonna need you to come through with a whole bunch. And what do I do with these cards?
I was like, what the? It's
Oh,
over there.
Sorry, my bad. I was like, did my thighs eat them up? No. Okay, but what we're talking about.
Your thighs are that thick.
What?
That
Then my
sounds like a
thighs eat it
challenge.
up.
That's a married woman. We're not allowed to make comments.
Child, that's the thickest thing on me.
She called you a child because I saw your thighs.
No, I said child as in
Well, I have very petite thighs, so I don't.
the who? What thighs?
Petite.
Oh, I thought you said petite. I was like, boy, y'all over here tripping today.
ESL today. Well,
Okay.
all you ladies on 8
We
at the
out here
table have
today.
beautiful bodies. Let's keep it moving.
All right, yeah, no judgment. Even if you like to drink pee, no judgment.
Just
No.
throwing that in there.
Anyway, y'all, but today our topic is how much sex should we be having? And we know that's different for different people, different relationships, but I would like to know, like, what do you see in your practice as a licensed sex therapist?
So, what do I see in terms of how much people are having the sex? I would.
Or who's complaining the most, or who's not listening the most, or who's withholding the most?
So most of what I see is people complaining about not having enough sex, right? That's why they're traditionally coming to me. And it's typically the guys saying, I need more sex, and the women saying, well, I'm not feeling it. And there's a lot of different ways or reasons why they don't want to have sex with their partner.
Ooh,
anymore.
tell us.
So the biggest one I see is that they don't want to fuck their child. And their husband feels like their child because they have to do all the things for them all the time. They have to schedule the doctor's appointments. They have to pick up their socks off the floor. And it feels very motherly in a sense. And so that is an instant mood killer. And so my job is to help them reignite the romance, kind of
How?
divvy up the chores in a
that's what I
sense,
wanted
because
to
that
know.
is huge, right? I'm big on chore lists. And talking about what it is that does turn them on and what turns them off. Because I think a lot of people focus on just what turns them on, but you also need to know what turns
That's a good
people
point.
off too,
I
right?
would think that the reverse. I would be quick to say what's turning me off.
But a lot of people don't. A lot of people
You're a new
will just
generation.
accept it, right? They'll just
Except
"Oh,
what
I don't
turns
like."
them off.
Yeah, kind of like, he did this, but I didn't say anything about it.
Gotcha,
Like
okay.
he he asked me to clean the kitchen a certain way, and that completely turned me off. But I didn't say anything about it. I just cleaned the kitchen.
What do you mean a certain
That-
way?
People have their like ways of
What if they
loading the dishwasher, things like that.
That seemed like the people that need to just do it themselves.
Exactly.
Mm.
And
is.
so teaching them to vocalize both, like recognizing that you can say both and share, and yeah, it'll help.
Okay, so you said men are complaining the most. And I think this is an important question. Are the women receptive to the men's complaints?
Yes, they understand it. They know, for the most part, they know exactly why they're not having sex as much. It's just they haven't told their partner about why they're not having sex as much.
Sorry. Is it because they find that to be a difficult conversation, or they're scared of what his reaction is going to be?
They don't want to hurt his feelings, right? They, don't sometimes think it's worth it to have this conversation because it's going to lead to other things. And a lot of times it's pressure. They feel that there is a particular way they need to perform in terms of sex sometimes, that they're just like, I don't want to have to deal with all of this, so I'm just not going to talk about it at all. Because I don't want him thinking that I'm open to having sex at this moment.
Are they okay with them saying no, their partner accepting that they're saying no, and then their partner going to find it elsewhere?
So my job is to help them recognize that they can say no, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be no forever, right? And helping them realize that even if it's no right now, what are some other ways that we can make it a yes with something else? Now, in terms of what I like to call outsourcing, which is having somebody else fulfill those sexual needs, that is a much longer conversation and a deeper conversation.
Isn't it more practical though?
You would think, right? We outsource everything else in our lives, right? We hire assistants, we have people do our laundry and our, dry cleaning and things. So why not outsource sex in some way? But it depends. A lot of people have those traditional mindsets of like, this is my partner. I'm only having sex with this person for the rest of my life because we're married or we committed to this in some way.
What is predominant? Like, what is the majority? Not the range.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume anybody who can afford it, right, is a range. But like, if I say I have 100 clients, but 40 of them are 40 and over, and the rest just scattered, then predominantly 40 is the age range. So what is yours?
Predominantly 30s.
Okay. Mid or old? Young, mid? Okay.
You're hitting that point. You're there.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you're trying
Because
to...
because the thing is, what I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to understand, because I really do think that, again, people are very different between the ages of, I would say, 18 to 32, and then 33 to 40 or 50. They're very, very, like, the mindset of both of those groups are just so different. Or let's just give it 15 years, right? Let's just say 20 or 18 to 33, same thing. Mm-hmm. So, because I don't think like a 28-year-old is going to be as traditional as a 38-year-old. Therefore, their relationship dynamic looks entirely different, as well as them feeling like they can't say and can't speak about the reasons of not having sex. I feel like a 22-year-old woman would tell a man, I'm not having sex today, and be okay. You know what I'm saying? And a 36-year-old might not, especially if she's been married to him since she was 25. Mm-hmm. It's like entirely different.
Wait. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying a 22-year-old is going to say, I'm not having sex with you, and she's going to go about her day, and that's the end of it, but a 36-year-old is not?
I think that if we had to compare, the mindset of both of those people are not the same, and the one who is younger is more likely going to be able to not be scared to voice the fact that she's not having sex and her reasons, especially considering if that person who is in their mid to late 30s has been married for X amount of time to this partner. Let's just say 8 years, or she's 38 and she's been with him since 29 and married at 30. So she's been with him for 9 total years, married for 8 years. she's already grown up in a world and a society where it is very traditional. Majority of her adulthood was with a traditional state of mind. Now the traditional state of mind for the youth is nowhere near the same.
But I don't think that's a tradition. I'm sorry. I don't think that's a traditional thing. I think that's more so of like, just where you are in life. I feel like the 36-year-old or 38-year-old is gonna be like, I ain't fucking tonight. Go beat your meat. The 22-year-old is the one who's gonna feel pressured into having sex.
Nah.
Well, yeah, let's touch on that because you pushed that a couple of times, but let's push it. Aaron is saying it's not necessarily the age that has, the generation.
Yeah, it's not.
Aaron is not saying you could be Generation Z, X, B, it doesn't matter. It's the place you're at in your life. So commonly what a 25-year-old did in 1975 is the same thing a 25-year-old will do in 2023.
That's what I'm saying is wrong.
But Aaron is saying that when you get into 35 and you get at a different age, it's different.
No, this is what I'm saying.
And it kind of connects with the women over 30 thing, which is the theory, right?
No. So what happens is the way life works in every aspect, things speed up. So your knowledge speeds up, you're learning, like more at a younger age as life progresses, right? Everything has moved faster. Cars have gotten faster, computer has gotten faster, information and the transfer of information has gotten faster. Kids have become more mature sooner. So it's impossible to think that a 25-year-old in 1970s is going to be the same as a 25-year-old mentality-wise in 2023. Everything has gotten so much faster. So the maturity of a 22-year-old to be comfortable with saying no and not ego stroke a man is starting at an earlier age now than comparison than before.
Okay.
Well, the whole argument is a little bit different, Rico, because when you think about it, kids at 15 have full-time jobs. Long time ago, people started a lot harder younger.
Yeah, I
Like
was saying
now,
processing
you were
is
expected to
different.
be out your house by 16.
Oh, Lord.
And you were expected to already be working. I'm talking about
You supposed
50,
to be
60 years
married at
ago.
16.
Like what
Right.
my dad,
right.
what my dad went through, I'd be like, for real? Because
Mine too, yeah.
my dad was like, he was out the house by 9. Looking for work, looking for because my sister said I'm gonna say 9. It might have been 7.
9 years old. So.
You did?
My dad.
Oh, okay.
Dad.
Right? So my parents were mature a lot earlier.
But mature in what aspect? See,
Life.
Working.
That's not work. That's
Experience
not mature though. That's just being able to work. See, like I could also argue. Guess what? There's probably more millionaire 15-year-olds right now than ever before who are utilizing the world at a way faster rate. So people are getting richer faster. Yeah, you might have been forced to go out and work at a factory at 16 and 15, maybe even 12. My grandfather had never finished 8th grade and was a correctional officer illegally before he was even 18. So like, okay, yeah, he might have been doing that, but just because you work sooner doesn't mean that you're moving faster.
I don't think that's what he's saying though.
But what I'm
So it sounds like people have access to more information now, and so
That's the basis.
increases
Yeah.
their knowledge and their ability to accept certain things or not accept certain things, particularly in relationships. Like I know my value, I know my worth at a younger age compared to say when I was in high school, right? It was completely different for a lot of folks.
The
because they don't
mindsets
have
of
that
these
access.
20-year-olds are definitely different than when my mom had me at 25. I'm 25 right now, and my mom had her whole life together, and we were just two different 25-year-olds,
Right.
like for sure.
Mhm.
I'm her second kid, and
Oh wow.
she had her job, she had her house. My dad moved in with her. Like she
Boss.
she had it all together, and that's just obviously not me at 25. But I understand what both of you guys were saying. I think I resonate with Rico a little bit more, honestly, because I know that me as someone as a 25-year-old, I know my attitude. I know that I'm just like, well, mom, daddy could put out his own food. Like, why are you always like? That's just me. And she was just like, Amanda, when you grow up and you get a husband, like you'll understand. And I'm just like, fuck that. Like he gonna have to do that himself. Like he gonna have to. And that's just and maybe she's right. Maybe when I get a husband, I'll know. But I just feel like that we differ because we're from different generations. She
Absolutely.
grew up a certain way, and I grew up being very opinionated, and I have my own mind, and I speak my mind.
that's
I've
the
been more
key.
outspoken, I think,
Yeah.
rather than because we all have the same opinion.
Mm.
But again, especially when you talk about relationships, women were not as outspoken back then as they are now. So if a girl who's grown up, who's 25 years old, so let's just say 1998 is when she was born. You can't tell me when she was 18, let's just say, what is that, 2016, right? Around. So let's say she's becoming an adult in 2015, 16. The world that you're an adult in is way different than if you were an adult in 1995. So as an adult, Amanda, for example, has seen women being outspoken and demanding and standing on what they demand. Now, if you were an 18-year-old girl in 1995, you were probably taught to stroke the man's ego, hush it up. Hey, just bite the bullet. Hey, you know what? Clean up after him even if you don't want to. Hey, have sex with him even if you don't want to. So what I'm saying is the age gap is such a different dynamic in the mentality of the woman. That's why I was so curious on knowing what age gap are you talking about, because you're gonna get a different result if you say my age gap is predominantly 22, 23, 24 versus 20, 33, 34, 35. So that's what I'm curious, because we always talk about right now, but we really need to start understanding where people are heading.
Last one. I interviewed this girl, and she was 25 when she came here. I interviewed a couple weeks ago, and we didn't put it out yet. And she was like, her and her boyfriend moved in when she was 21. She said it was all fun until he kept losing his job.
Mm.
Sex drive went, no, don't touch me. Everything about it. She was like, we moving. We were excited. We only knew each other 6 months. They were only 21, 22. They only moved in. She said, I had a car and a car note and insurance. We got the apartment. He kept losing his job. She was like, it was just too much. That's where I'm trying to get through that part. Is it age, circumstance? What is it really that makes people not want to have sex?
This is mine.
And on Rico's generation, because Chris Rock did say there's new generation girls, they sleep with you, and as you're trying to hold them, they already got up, got dressed, and left.
And it's their experiences, right? Because people have
True.
had to go through a lot more in different circumstances. And so you have to keep that all in mind when you're trying to figure out, okay, is this more of a generational thing? Is it more of a societal thing? Or is it a circumstance thing? It's actually all three of them things, right? Because you don't know what experiences people have gone through to say, no, I don't want to cuddle with this nigga when we done having sex, right? Like they could have been abused in some way. They could have seen their parents in different relationship dynamics that just didn't serve them. So you have to be mindful of all of it, including their age, right? What is being pushed to them in media, amongst their friends, like amongst the adults in their lives. Like, so that's what's going to kind of be part of their decision to, am I going to deal with this in this relationship, or am I going to avoid it, or am I just going to leave completely?
No, yeah,
Good.
100%.
So, okay, going back to people in their relationships and how much sex they're having or not having. In your professional clinical experience, what is like a reasonable amount of sex that people should be having, given, an average life? You work 40, 50 hours a week. You hang out maybe on the weekends. I'm just saying, like, not anybody that's working 100 hours a week, just like nothing crazy, just like average or median. Like what's a fair amount?
So when we look at some statistics that are out there, we find that people who are adults who are in committed relationships have sex roughly around 1 to 2 times per week, right? And of course, there's going to be exceptions to the rules because of you have kids, you have work. Some people are working like 60 hours a week. So I would say, again, I try not to put numbers on it, but if you're having sex twice a month, you're in good shape. right?
Twice a month?
Twice a month.
You're in good shape at 2 times a month?
Yes.
You also frustrated.
Why is that?
That not necessarily, right? Because there's this sense of if you're doing it at least twice a month, there's still that connection with you and your partner.
Oh,
There's still
okay.
that element of like we're trying to make this a priority, but there might be some things getting in the way, right?
So,
Now, if it's happening less than that and you want more, then that's when you would come see me and figure out, okay, let's figure out how we can add more sex to that. But twice a month, I would say you're okay. I wouldn't drop lower than that.
So what's the difficulty?
I mean, that's once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Yeah.
not too bad, but damn.
I mean, the
That's including the
desire-
weekends also.
And I work, but I'm off of work on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Crazy work hours, like
Right.
difficult schedules. It just got to be something that makes sense.
Extreme.
Like two.
That's why I was saying on like average, like with people who don't have crazy work schedules, don't have a bunch of kids,
There's no way.
like just like regular,
Again, there's no definitive. There's not enough data. Number one, to
Yeah,
say
like,
like
Makes
this
sense.
is how much people are having sex. Because number one, people lie, and there's a lot of people who just don't want to divulge that.
They
type of
lie in the
information.
sessions.
Not in the sessions, but like when we're doing
They
research.
better be telling
right?
you the truth
Data.
in the
So,
session.
in the data.
You always
is
have
difficult.
you always have
The
a
margin of
error.
error, yeah.
Margin of error. Right.
Well, I was just asking, like, what do you see? Like, that's what I was asking.
What do I see in my practice? Again, people are coming to me because they need help in this area. So I've had couples who haven't had sex in years.
And they're trying
And they're
to.
trying to bring back that desire. They want to have sex more often in their relationship or figure out, like, if it's not in this relationship, where it's going to
How can
happen.
you finesse
'Cause
it
I
into
also
something else?
specialize in non-monogamous relationships. So folks are
Okay.
coming to see if they need to open their relationship, and if they have decided to open their relationship, how is that going to look?
I might visit you one day. But look, check this out. I have a question. Like, I want to go like one step deeper,
Mm-hmm.
right? Forget about how much sex you should have. Really, this is for women. How many orgasms should you have? Because if you have sex twice a month, but you don't climax,
You doing it on your own.
I mean, yeah, you might be doing that too.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you were getting at? I'm sorry.
No. When I was trying,
Oh.
I wasn't even thinking about you handling yourself. I kind of threw that out the window. I would assume if we only having sex twice a month, I'm beating my shit somewhere, right? Like
All the time.
right? Yeah, like that's probably where the porn addictions
You have
come.
to think about, how we're defining sex as well. Like, sex
that's
doesn't
true.
always have to be penis and vagina penetration. It can
Yeah.
be so many other things. So if you can engage in other forms of sex with your partner, that number can go up more. And that's
Yeah.
the issue that a lot of people have, is that they think that sex just has to be penetration, right? They forget about all the other stuff. And so when they only are focusing on penis and vagina sex, that builds that pressure. They're like, oh, I have to have this. I have to shave. I have to shower. I have to have the energy. Like they're thinking.
Can you
about
share the
all
other
these
stuff and
things.
details for
So
our audience, please?
Yeah.
yeah, so other things could be hand jobs, fingering, making out. Like, making out is a lost fucking art. Nobody does it anymore for some reason.
I lost
Dry humping. Like, can we get think
used to
about
get
the things
Dry
that
hump
you
is kind of
did,
childish, though.
but think about the
I don't
things
know.
that you did before you started having sex. That used to get you
Finger
off.
bang.
You rubbed that thing against my head.
Right. You used to get excited. You were like, y'all were doing all the things
Yes,
because
it
you
is
just
true.
weren't ready to take that leap yet. And now all of a sudden, because you've had sex, like full out penetrative sex, you're like, oh, all the other things can go by the wayside. But all those other things used to get you off. So
That's
why would you
true.
stop doing those things? Like, you can do the dry humping, you could do the finger banging.
I heard that on the comedy special the other night. That's why I said it.
Dry humping is a little
There's
too much
so
for me,
many
but
other things.
I do the finger shit.
Not to say
I'm
that I
over
don't
here.
like it, but I feel like dry humping was so like enticing because maybe people weren't having sex, or it's kind of like a thing that happened when you were like younger, right? So it was just like, oh, that felt good. So like when you're like constantly getting the real thing, dry humping is nothing.
Mm.
Like to some people.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got blue balls dry humping. Never again. Scratch that shit.
But you don't have to. Like
But that's the thing, you know.
you could do that
it's
along
trauma.
with,
Fill
you
it
know, some hand jobs, some rubbing, like to release that, right?
So what are
So orgasms don't always have to be the goal. It can be like, I need a release, and this is, you know, what I can do in this moment. That doesn't require me to do all of the maintenance that sometimes is involved with sex. Because some people are very particular about how they have sex. Like people need to shower, you know, right before, not hours before, right before. People
Yeah,
need
I don't
to,
like that.
you know, wear lingerie or be, you know, be manscaped. Like there's so many
I don't know.
boxes.
They'll come home with that all day dick.
Yeah, I'm, like my thing is, I'm a spontaneous guy. Like, listen,
But not
Rico
every
like a
guy
little
is
mush.
like that.
if you gotta stop and now you got like, I'm not saying if you had like you just worked out or something, that's different.
No,
But,
you been
like,
on the subway all day,
I
sitting
never.
on-
I
on-
don't live in New
Muscles,
York.
alright.
I don't live in New York.
sitting on train seats.
I don't live in. I'm from Jersey.
First of
We
all,
don't do
it doesn't have
subways.
to
They don't have
do
trains
with
out
their
here?
Genitalia.
We don't
They
have
take off their
subways,
clothes
like-
when they come.
Oh, see, I don't know.
Coming off the-
NJ Trans.
So can you push
you
on that a
barely
little
on
bit
that.
more? Because like I thought of that, right? Like jokingly we're saying it, but in reality, some people be like, "Yo, it's a little musty. It's okay," and she like, "No, I want to wash up. Nah, it's good. We
Yeah,
good,
me and
right?"
do be liking a
And
little
then
mush.
you have the other one where she could be like,
Some of you worked hard today,
like-
baby.
but what if he's getting rejected or she's getting rejected?
Mhm.
And let's say he says something like, "Oh, let me just open your mouth and I'll just do this just to let me off," and she's like, "I'm not in the mood for that." Well, I'm not in the mood for that.
Mm.
Yeah, how do you get around that?
Like, can you keep a
Yeah.
relationship together without sex?
So yeah, so okay, there were a lot of questions
Open
in
it
there. So I will first off say that yes, there are people who have sexless marriages and they work for them. That's what they have decided together that works, right? And there are some people, and I see Rico shaking his head like, nah.
There's no point.
But there are
just a
some
friend.
people
With them.
that like it is just a friendship. You're roommates, right? But there's a different level of intimacy and commitment that they are not willing to give up. And so
They're
that's
basically
why
hoarders.
It works.
That's how,
I
like-
wouldn't call it hoarding.
It's
but-
like hoarding. It's like you don't really like this thing no more, but you like it enough because it meant something to you, so you can't get rid of it.
No, she said they still get along. They're still friends. They're still
It's a
companionship.
different kind of intimacy.
Yeah.
They
it's a
commit.
deeper level of
There's no deeper
commitment,
level.
companionship.
It's just a
intimacy.
deeper denial.
It's just not the passion. Like
Uh-uh.
literally, the passion is the only thing missing from their relationship.
Passion is life.
I feel like
If you're not passionate
No,
about what
guys,
you're doing,
guys.
Not necessarily.
Think about how many people there are in this world. Yeah, but think about how many people there are in this world. It would be absurd for us to think that there are not people out there who don't live the same like lifestyles that we do. So like for you, passion may be a prerequisite and it may be necessary. But for the next person that's only having sex twice a month, then perhaps it's
no,
not.
no.
I
Sexless.
totally
No. I'm just making a comparison. That's all.
I
Yo,
get what Aaron is saying, but I feel like you gotta find someone like that that's also like you. I feel like you can't go into no marriage and be like, well, this is how I am. If we're gonna get married, sex is off the table, and I don't feel like
Does
anyone's
it
just
start like
going
that?
up-
no, that's
it
the
typically
problem.
doesn't
And that's
start
right,
like that. And that's where the issue starts to come in because we call it desire discrepancy clinically, where one person is desiring sex more than the other person is desiring sex, and so typically it starts off in the beginning of the relationship. The sex is great, the intimacy is great. They may notice some like flags that they're like, well, this did happen at the beginning of our relationship and I just brushed it off. Like, but as time progressed, it got worse and worse. And so now that they're at a point where like it's becoming a deal breaker.
Problematic.
It's
Yeah.
problematic. And so what can we do to resolve this, if any? And I work with a lot of clients through it who are able to resolve it. They're able to get back that passion and that spark that they once had. And there are some couples who, one partner actually may be asexual and it's always been like that. Or we might have a partner who had some significant medical issues in their life. And so they are a bit hesitant to engage in certain behaviors. So there's so many different variables that it's really hard to just pinpoint like this is the exact reason that it has changed and this is the exact reason how we're going to.
Can you describe for the audience in terms of asexuality, what that looks like?
Mm-hmm. So, an asexual person is someone who does not desire sexual connection. They don't have that sexual attraction to others. They may be emotionally attracted to someone or romantically attracted to someone, but there is no desire for actual sex. And it varies, right? So, there's a umbrella of terms. Like you have people who are demisexual, demi-romantic. Like there's a lot of other things that's
Is
under
that like demi, like with wine? Is that the same? Is it the same?
I'm not sure because I don't know
Oh,
what
is it?
No,
with
but I feel like
wine.
the prefix demi means
That's what I was.
something.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
so it is demi in the sense of parts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like semi.
so
If you
Yeah.
break down that means it's parts of something else.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so they
Parts
may
of.
want to just get to know the person a little bit more before they engage in some type of romantic or sexual relationship.
But that's still not asexual. Mary, can you do me a favor? Hey, Mary,
God.
Yes.
can you see approximately how many asexual people there are in America?
No, it's
Like-
very rare.
Like that's an
But they
ultimate
are.
exception. Exception to the rule.
Mhm.
I would be pissed. Like, yo, what? You just now coming out the woodworks with this asexual shit?
I have a question. So, what do, and I imagine this occurs less as far as like what you see in your practice. What happens when the woman is saying, "Well, we're not having enough sex," or am I wrong that it doesn't happen that
I
much?
get that as well.
A lot?
I have a client now
Okay.
who is like, I want more sex, and he is not giving it to me. And
Wow, it's only one. So
Identify as asexual. It's very rare.
1.7 million in the world or the United States?
1.7%.
Oh, sorry, in the world or United States?
that makes sense. So it's less about two. Let's just say hypothetically 2%,
Yeah.
which I would
Say most
like
of
that-
America is fucking.
there's just probably like some therapy unpacking that needs to be done.
So, well, I want to know like what you see with the women. Like, what does that look like? What are the men saying? Like, I guess their partners. How do they get over it?
that
'Cause I-
ranges as well.
Because I feel like this is something we don't typically see or hear about. So,
Mhm. So, from at least the clients that I've worked with, there are some men who are actually being unfaithful. And so that is the reason why they haven't had sex. And because
So unfair.
and before they became unfaithful, it was a lot of times they felt like they didn't have a place in the relationship, or their partner was controlling too much of their life, right? So one client I have, she is the breadwinner of the relationship, and so he didn't feel like he was able to contribute, and so he just didn't want to have sex because it reminded him of so many other things in his past life that he wasn't able to talk about it. So yeah, that's a lot of times it's again related to the emotional intimacy of things, not so much like, oh, they've gotten bigger, or I'm just not attracted to them anymore. A lot of times it's some type of emotional disconnect that's happening.
is it hard for the men to address that and actually?
A lot of times they don't want to admit it. At least with the women, they're able to say, like, I don't want to have sex with him because I feel like his mother. Whereas men, it takes them a while sometimes to recognize that that is the issue, right? A lot of times they don't even know
Yeah, sometimes they just
what
don't
that
know.
issue is.
We know. We
That's what I.
We just don't want to admit it to ourselves because then we know we gotta move on.
Which leads to a question that we had on the call for this subject. And Erin brought a very strong point because she said it comes from different places. When someone commits to monogamy, from a man's perspective, a man is like, all right, I'm monogamous, I'm going to be faithful. And the woman knows the man is going to be faithful. He's not going to cheat. He's not going to mess around. Isn't withholding sex become like a form of abuse? Because you know he's not going to go get it nowhere else. So you have all the power. He doesn't have one in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a side. Basically, his needs are at your mercy in a sense.
I just want to clarify that. That's definitely not how it was presented on the call. We didn't talk about the woman being, holding all the cards, knowing that the man is not going to go outside the marriage or partnership or whatever. Essentially, Alan believes, or he asserts, that it is abuse when a partner withholds sex from the other partner. And
A faithful.
no, that's not how it was presented on the call.
Okay, we're presenting it now. Let's present it now. Because we did at one point say, what if it wasn't all these extra things? But
Extra what?
because we had list on the call a bunch of different reasons in terms of unfaithfulness that caused them to withhold sex. A bunch of different stress, strenuous works. We listed all these things, and then at the end of that, we were like, okay, let's just assume it's none of those things. None of the justifying factors that people want to make justifiable, right? If a person is just withholding sex from somebody who is faithful, who is, let's just say, maybe they might have like your average 40, 50-hour work week, so it's not perfect anyways. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with regular life things. Is that a form of abuse to withhold sex from your partner under certain conditions?
Under those circumstances. Like, no, yeah.
I definitely think it's a form of manipulation. I don't know if I would fully call it abuse, because abuse is a very large term. It's a strong term to use. So you don't always want to say, oh, this person is abusing me. But they definitely are manipulating you. And that's what we put it under the umbrella when we talk about sexuality. We talk about sexualization. And so how do we use our sexuality to get what we want, essentially? And sometimes that can be used for good. Sometimes it can be used for evil. And so that can be problematic, definitely, in long-term relationships, using that as a bargaining chip. Now, I'm not saying like if you really don't feel like having sex that you can't say no, but saying like I'm not going to have sex with you because you did X, Y, and Z, or because I want to get something from you, in a sense, that can be really manipulative and can cause a lot of damage to the relationship.
Miri, correct me if I'm wrong. Is manipulation a form of verbal abuse?
No.
Oh, no. Can you Google it, please?
Mary knows what she's talking about.
No, she don't. Go ahead and.
Wait, are you saying? You're saying
Hearing something? It's fine now. No, that wasn't it. It was like.
Can you just do that for me?
wait? You say, is manipulation
A form of verbal abuse.
It's
Yeah.
not, but
No.
Can you just?
no? Because manipulation is like some.
Getting in your head.
Because you can also manipulate verbally, right? So
Yeah, but
so if because there are.
I'm gonna let the clinicians have it. I ain't finna answer.
So more of the story is, if that is a thing, right? Like if I was to look up
It's not.
types of verbal abuse, I'm pretty sure manipulation comes up.
so manipulation, using words to manipulate and control the other person, is a type of verbal abuse.
Again, I rest my case. So if I can sit here and say manipulation is a type of verbal abuse, I can assume.
No, actually, she said verbal manipulation is a type of verbal
Type
abuse.
doesn't mean it is verbal manipulation.
Because you don't always use
Oh my God,
verbal
wait, hold on.
cues to manipulate.
I think that
Someone who is verbally
like I can manipulate.
I just want to
you with
finish my
body
statement without
language.
being interrupted. That's all I want to do.
But you asked for. But you asked.
She gave me my answer. That was all I asked for.
You took a piece.
Yeah, you didn't. You mischaracterized
You
it.
can't take a piece of what I'm saying to manipulate what you're trying to say.
Is manipulation
I see what you did there.
a type? Is manipulation a type of verbal
First
abuse?
of all,
The
you
answer
can't
is
just
yes.
say. You can't just say,
Guys.
"Is burgundy a type of red?"
Oh, hold on. But what she's saying was verbal manipulation is blah blah blah. It is a type of manipulation, but that's what she said. She said
So-
verbal manipulation.
So
Yes.
you can use You can use finance to
Mhm.
manipulate. You
Yep.
can use your physical status to manipulate. You can use verbal to manipulate.
Withholding
There-
sex to manipulate.
Yeah, there's
Thank
a
you.
lot of things that you can use
Okay,
to
so
manipulate.
you're only proving my point, Mary. So I would like to continue on what I was saying without being interrupted. Thank you. So if we can argue that manipulation is a type of different types of abuses, financial abuse, as Mary said, verbal abuse, as Mary said, manipulating, in your words, right, by withholding sex should be I can never talk.
I'm just trying to say what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you were going
Because
somewhere.
y'all interrupt every single time.
Go ahead.
Are you Rico?
Here it goes again.
Rico, please.
Are we good now?
Yeah, you're good.
You're the
All right,
king of interruptions.
please let me.
Don't do
Just
that.
please, Exhibit A. Let's.
Now you're good. Now say your point.
All right. Thank you, Mary. So, if one can argue that manipulation is a type of abuse with other types of abuse, such as manipulating with verbal usage, manipulating with finances, are all forms of abuse in one aspect. So, in your words, withholding sex is a form of manipulation under the certain circumstances that it isn't being used because of some type of justifying factor. So, we should be able to call withholding sex some type of abuse towards your partner if it's you really using it to manipulate a power dynamic within your relationship. I think that should be a normal thing.
Again, I wouldn't call it abuse. I think the abuse aspect comes in when it is starting to become consistent. It is something that is regular. It's a tactic that is regularly used to get what they want from the person. Now, if it's like a one-off thing, like, I'm frustrated with you, I'm not having sex with you, or you didn't, pick up the kids for me, so I'm not having sex with you, and that's something that a tactic that you always use, yes, that can be seen as abuse. I would definitely categorize that. But if it's kind of like a one-off type of thing where you were just frustrated in the moment and that's the first thing you thought of, no, I wouldn't consider that abuse.
I agree wholeheartedly with you.
Thank you.
Only because that's usually not the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually an often tactic. You know what I'm saying? You don't just withhold sex one time. Unless if it's something again. You caught your partner cheating. That's obviously I can understand 100%.
And again, as long as people recognize that there's a difference between saying no, I do not want to have sex, and then no, I'm using this as a tactic to control you in some way.
Which is cool, or punish.
Control, yeah.
Control or punish. You know what I mean? Because that's what I think. A lot of times, people withhold sex for a punishment. A consequential thing. Like that's what you get for telling me to wash the dishes a certain way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like crazy to me. Well, I mean,
that doesn't really sound.
that's what
I got
you
it.
get what I'm saying, right?
That sounds like abuse and that sounds like punishment. But if I was angry with you about anything, I'm not turned on enough to have sex with you anyway. So you can see it as a punishment. I'm just not in the mood to be intimate with you.
But you know what happens? It's a slippery slope because when you and granted, I align because if I'm truly unhappy at whatever moment or situation that has transpired, I'm not the type to just be able to have sex and just be okay. I typically need some time to calm down or whatever the case may be. So I understand. But the problem that happens is if it's a constant thing when, even the small things turn you off, and now one person is left, unpleasured by their partner, in my opinion, it would then trigger some spitefulness for when you want to have sex, depending on, especially if it's soon after, and now you get into a pity pat battle of who's right and who's wrong, and nobody's being pleasured. And then next thing you know, you're 3, 4, 5 months in with no sex.
Well,
I would- go
that
ahead.
kind of sounds like that depends on your partner, to be honest. That sounds like a personal trait. You're probably just dating someone that's very petty. That I don't think that instance goes for, it's very generalized. I don't think.
Yeah, but it hurts. Like, I'm talking from a guy standpoint. If a
you
girl
sound
says she
like you
doesn't want to
talk
have
from
sex with me,
experience.
like that hurts. I'm like, wait, what?
If you are in a
You wanna have sex with
relationship
me?
where you feel like you need to be petty towards your partner, then you might not need to be in that relationship.
Oh, child.
Because, I'm a firm believer in if you are actively trying to harm your partner in some way, then that's not a good relationship.
I think that we have to understand that sometimes relationships come with sacrifice. And once you realize that someone is not sacrificing, sometimes you start to limit the amount you're sacrificing. So if we were in a good relationship and you got mad and the last 3 times you got mad, you withheld sex from me, so now I'm mad, you've opened the door and created a new norm in our relationship. So what ends up happening is that's why, sex therapy and all different types of therapy exist for relationships, because it's never just a one-off thing. I don't want to say never, but it's rarely
It's
just
consistent.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
consistent thing that has built up, and it's not a one person thing.
Mhm.
It's a two people thing. And it happens so often. So we have to make sure that we understand that when we're saying certain things, like, we have to be careful, because you being petty in your relationship, if it's a long-term relationship, pettiness is going to happen at some point, right? I don't care who you are. Like, it might be a 1.7% that it doesn't happen, but it's going to happen. And when it happens, the thing is, you open up a door and you create new rules for your relationship. And then now each one of you is playing that same card depending on how, you are as a person and your partner is. And sometimes it goes down a slippery slope, and you guys could either break up or end up in no man's land with each other. And I think that that's something that we got to be cautious with,
I think one thing that one second. I think one thing that I think you brought up about, a woman being mad about something that wasn't done in the house. I think that a lot of times men, as crucial and important as those things are in the home, and the men appreciate that those things happen in their home, I don't think they understand that how it makes a woman feel when you spend your time, in addition to your job and everything else you got going on, cleaning the house and cooking and picking up after people and this, that, and the other. Then somebody come in the house and trashes it. Or somebody come in and make a plate and got shit all over the counter. So it's like, well, I don't mind dishes and thing, but like, so I think that men are looking at it like, oh, she was mad at me because of the dishes. No, it's because you shat on my time. And my time is more important than anything. And if I don't clean up the house and let things go, then you're going to have a problem. So it's like, it's a lose-lose. So if anything, how about you be respectful of what I'm doing in my time, in my system, in my house that I manage, and then we won't have these issues. Because women aren't just mad for no reason.
There's
Like,
always
literally-
an underlying cause.
Right, there's always something. It's not like you just woke up. PMS or whatever, but like, it's rare that like you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. There's been what the woman is that's being a consequence, and no one's ever looking at the cause. We're only looking at the effect and the symptom. So I think that, and again, men may not look at it as it being important, but it's like, if you want a different reaction, you got to do some shit differently.
Yeah, no, and this goes back to, in my opinion, when we had a conversation about the movie and pausing the movie when the person went to the bathroom.
You're right.
There's just a level of consideration that has to be done or be established, and it's expectation of consideration, right? So, and I get it, because there's a lot of men who do those things, right? Like, they just come in and they just throw it on a, whatever. Sometimes I do it too, right? I ain't perfect, but I also do balance it out too. I'm not going to justify or defend my own case, but whatever the case, we do it. But when it gets to a point where, which I can't imagine, because I've never been in a relationship such as the one that you described of one of your, are they called clients?
I call them clients, yeah.
Or one of your clients, where it got to a point where she was cleaning up after him like he was a kid. But I think that the only issue I have is, why'd you let it get this far? At some point, we have to understand that we are all adults, especially when we're dating seriously or married with a partner. If I have, communicated to you, hey, don't do that, and you have continuously done it, there has to be another form or way of communication to make that person receive.
Tit for tat.
Yeah, and the problem is when you get tit for tat, but the tit for tat goes into therapy, right? Because it's really, and then therapy is not a guaranteed solution.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? So we need to be mindful, like, oh, all right, cool. If I'm not liking what's going on in my house, I got to learn how to communicate the way my partner can receive it, not the way I want to communicate. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? If I tell you, hey, it's common sense, guess what? It ain't common sense. That's why they keep doing it, right? So I
So you
think
got to ask that question.
that's why I asked those questions. Let me figure out. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Let me
exactly.
I wanted to figure out your train of thought because I need to understand.
That kind of, if you even start off,
It's like a
But it makes sense
like,
though.
can I ask you a question? And then you ask me some dumb shit like, what were you thinking when you did this, that, and the third?
Would it make a difference if it's like, okay, listen, can I ask you something real quick?
No, it don't matter.
No, just ask me the question. If you say
No, I gotta-
ask you some-
Nah.
you being funny?
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
That's where that assume goodwill will,
She
right?
doesn't have
Try
it, huh?
not to think that your
sorry, I'm
partner is
feisty.
going to be petty, right? And is trying to make a
People
dig at
usually
you.
are, though.
I'm not
They
petty
can
though.
be.
I
People
need
you
to figure
really
you out.
understand.
Yeah, like,
They may really want to find the answer to this, right? Because curiosity is what can save marriages and relationships, honestly. Like if you lead with your own curiosity and trying to figure out, okay, what was the motive or intention behind my partner's actions in this, you would realize like there's some deeper level shit happening with them that you might have never considered, right? It could have been something from like when their mom used to, tell them to clean the dishes a certain way. Like it could go back that far.
She beat him
So
with a
if you
switch.
lead with that curiosity, it can make a world of difference.
I don't disagree. I just feel like don't start your conversation by, can I ask you a question?
But I think
Because
what
then
happens
I'm already ready to tussle.
Amanda, I think what happens is that we always
a
make it about
defense.
ourselves,
Right.
and that becomes part of the
That's a
issue.
good point.
Mm.
You make it about you. And I think one of the greatest things that you should understand in any relationship, it's not always about you. And so if somebody not you particularly, Amanda. But what I'm saying is like in a
it is you.
relationship, but it's not always about you, and it's not always an attack on you. And you have to give people grace and be like, okay, where are you coming from? Because what happens is like you trying to attack me when you say, let me ask you a question. You gotta like give some space. So if somebody's like, let me ask you something real quick. That's like, let me ask you something real quick. It's not necessarily an attack. It's
Yeah.
just
Get
let
that
me
face
ask you a
value.
question.
You know
But
what? The
it's
next
real,
time- the
and
next
it's gonna
time
be
somebody
quick.
asks that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a deep breath and I'm gonna say okay. And when they come for me, and I'm gonna say, you see,
But I think there's a different. You know when somebody's coming for you, like you know when somebody's coming for you versus when somebody's actually trying to understand the pathology around your decision making.
Mhm.
And I think, and I do this all the time. I think we talked about this. I do this all the time because me and my husband don't think alike. Like we don't notice the same things. We don't like. There's nothing about us that acts the same, and it's so crazy. So I have to ask these questions all the time because I'm just wondering: do one of your eyes not work? Like
She's not going to say it like that.
No.
She's not going to say it like that.
no. I didn't ask him that, but in my mind,
That's how it works.
I need to figure out like how did you not see this?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or like in my mind, like if you come and get this one item out of this one place 1 gazillion times, what on earth would make you put it somewhere else?
Mhm.
It's not even close to. Because for me it doesn't compute. I have to understand. So I can be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, maybe he's partially blind in one eye, or maybe he
He's a
doesn't.
nosy man.
I'm not. I'm just saying,
Maybe
like,
you could just
And
be
that's the thing,
careless.
You can't make those assumptions
Yeah,
either.
but
That's why you
we're-
have to ask the question,
Right.
right? So what was going on that you didn't see this?
I'm just saying. Aaron gave
If it becomes
terrible
problematic,
examples.
because you got to pick your battles.
Mm,
Yeah, and that's another thing because
You gotta
when them
pick your
little battles
battles.
add up, it's a war.
yeah.
I'll tell you what.
yeah.
You gotta learn to pick your battles.
Everything's not worth
I'm
it.
very straight
It
to
really
the point.
ain't.
I would say, why did you put this champagne
No,
glass
that's
here
combative.
That is
Yeah, it's-
combative.
That is combative.
Because I avoid trying to be like, I don't know, snipey, asking, can I ask you a question? Because I hate when people do that to me. If what you're trying to get at is that this does not belong here, it belongs here, then just fucking say that. Don't say, can I ask you a question? What made you put this?
No,
right
but the
here?"
thing is, like, it might not come off that way, right? So
Right.
that might be one person's way of communicating, right? Somebody else might be like, why would you do that? And you might have a problem with that. The thing is, in relationships, you want to hope you learn each other's communication style.
Yeah.
Because if the first, second, or third time I ask my partner, let me ask you a question. And he's emotionally regulated and he understands. He's going to say to me, listen, I understand that you want to know something, but when you approach me that way, it doesn't work for me. And I don't like that approach. So I'm going
that whole sentence and I'm engraving it in my mind right now.
So what I'm going to do as his partner, and we're like, okay, like that approach doesn't work.
So what worked?
So I'll be like, okay, so what works? What do you want me to do? If you want to know why I put that there, say, babe, why'd you do that? So you know what I'm gonna do next time? Babe, why'd you do that? Especially me, because I need the data. So I want to know if it works. Because I'm gonna compute it. Because you told me it works. No, because for me, if you tell me that's what works for you, in my mind,
it all,
Yeah.
that's
in my
that
mind,
is
it goes like
the
this.
blueprint.
It'd be like this.
Exactly.
So next time I'd be like, babe, why'd you do that? And then I see your response.
Yep.
And then if it works, girl, bye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like that's
literally
exactly how
like,
it works.
I'm gonna react the exact same way every single time.
And there was one time I had a relationship and we had set the communicative standards in the very like first month or two. And there was one time where she did what I told her I needed to do. And I legitimately started to react, right? But there was amongst a bunch of other reasons. It had nothing to do with her. And she said, well, this is what you told me. I had to, and this was on text, I had to take a deep breath. I said, I'm sorry. You're right. And then we talked about it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like, that was one of the things that I realized. And again, I say this all the time, like, you need to set the communicative standards early in your relationship because that is the only way to realistically go long term. I can't do this whole, like for me, especially right now, I can't do this whole figuring out how to talk to you when we've been having sex for 24 months. Like I can't do this because I'm already too invested, right? Like I really don't care. But if I already know from the very beginning, then I think that works. And again, like, I think something that you said that we also got to realize, Amanda said, because if you say this to me, I know I'm going to react this way. I think it's important to understand that just because of how you take things is not the way your partner's going to take them. And that means you can't treat them the same as you.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why you need to ask questions.
And it's hard to do
Yeah.
that.
It is. It really comes with the level of just like maturity and experience and either or. But once you get to that point, it's like, I know I'm going to put the same thing in the same spot every time. I don't understand why you have it in a different spot every time. And we both use this. Right? So so.
Wait, whose system is it? That's the difference.
Hey.
I'm saying, no, it really,
speak on it.
it really is the difference. And I found in therapy, and it's funny because I actually brought this up. One day, the sweetener, which is my sweetener because I'm type 1, was moved. So I go in there. It's not where it always is. And I start looking around. I'm like, damn, who moved my shit? You know
who?
No, I know. I thought maybe the container broke and it just don't exist no more. That's literally what I thought, because
You were assuming the positive.
yeah, I guess. And so, and then I texted him. I was like, hey, I said, what a sweetener? He was like, oh, in the pantry. I was like, no, it's not. I'm looking right here. He said, just look around. It's there. Of course, I look around and it is there. But I'm in my mind, I'm just like, I take care of everything in the house. Yep. If I put up the dishes a certain way, that means you should follow suit. If I fold the clothes a certain way, that means you should follow suit. Because I don't go in the bill pay and start messing up your shit. I don't start putting in my own password. I don't start, telling them to change the monthly payment. You think it's on regular payment and I didn't change it to balance billing and didn't tell you. You know what I mean? And now you confused. So it's like if someone is responsible for something and it's their system, you need to follow their system. Don't come in my shit trying to do something different. Yeah. I understand you may try to help, but if you create more work for me, now we have a problem.
It's not helpful.
Don't create more work for me because now it's 2 things I got to do. You know what I mean? Because yeah, you folded the towels, but does it go with the other 45 towels that's in here that now the shit don't even fit now because you folded it differently. The thing is that you put it in there.
She's
It's
really
like,
real.
You put it in there and you saw that those 5 towels
She's been triggered a little
Yeah.
bit.
did not match. No, because I'm very like, the thing is that because I control everything in the house, like it's my system. So why do you go outside and do anything else?
Right.
And that's the thing. That's how the therapist framed it. And he was like, well, I guess that makes sense. If you're over such and such, like your system should be your system.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly. I didn't conceptualize it like that. It's my system. It's just like that's the way it is. Why wouldn't you just already do it that way?
Yeah.
Like, why would you put the washing powder in the
You know,
bag
that's-
with the cheese?
I almost feel like it should be ran like a business, right?
you.
Like a business has SOPs, standard
you.
operating procedures. So if everybody gets literally a copy in some way of your standard operating procedures, we know when I'm helping you out, this is the way
Checklist.
it can be, right? Like, so have that checklist, have
no.
that conversation about like, this is the way it's supposed to be. And it may seem controlling in some way,
I'm not
and
strict.
it'll be helpful in the long
I'm
run.
not strict, but the thing is that I don't go around messing up somebody else's system. Like, if you back your car in every single day, and for whatever reason I have to drive your car,
I'm gonna back it in.
I'm going to back it in.
Yeah.
Why would I not back it in?
And you know, in my mind, and this
I
is
agree,
why I
Aaron.
have to. Sometimes I had to step outside of myself because the way I compute that is the lack of awareness and inconsideration.
So fuck you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's how I take it. I'm like, yo, so you really just don't care. Because you've seen me do this every day, especially if I've been with you for X amount of time. And I was actually with you when I backed my car in every day, right? And you decide to park it the opposite way. You just don't care about
No,
what
I don't think it's I don't care, and I definitely don't see it as a fu.
That's
but
what it comes
I'm
off
saying,
No,
like-
as.
I know, but like I don't even see it that way. Now, if I communicate to you
Yes.
and then you do it again.
and then you do it
Yes,
again,
you're
that's
right.
when it's. See, I like I'm a person. I never assume anybody can read my thoughts.
Right.
And I'm a big believer in that. I'm very communicative. I'm very verbal. I don't want people. There's nothing left unsaid between us.
Right.
So I say what I feel. So if you do something that I don't like, or if I do something every day and I'd be like, oh, can you do this for me? And you do it for me one day, I will come to you and say, hey, listen, I like the car backed up this way because in the morning when I leave, it makes everything easier for me. Maybe there's like more traffic in the morning. So next time, if I give it to you, could you make sure you do it that way? Now, next time, nope, I'm very, because like, I don't like problems. I'm an avoidant of, like, I don't like problems. So if next time,
It happens again.
then it's a problem. And I like to avoid problems.
Right.
I don't
Man,
think
I
that.
ain't giving you my
But me and Aaron are.
Thank you. That's what I was.
I said, me and Aaron are talking about a one-off situation. We're talking about the redundancy of it, or like, you know.
But did
it's
you
just-
communicate?
Of
Yes.
course, but you know what?
So I think it's important to communicate, yes, why you need it in a particular way because it makes life easier for me, X, Y, and Z. Also communicating, so this is how it makes me feel when you don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you just don't give a
Shitting
fuck
on
about
me.
me. You
Yeah.
shitting on me if, you don't do it in this way. So adding those two together can be more impactful.
Because
for
then,
you.
because
I
then if
found
it
a
don't happen,
solution
I
to
gotta go
this.
and change your password.
But you know,
That's what I'm saying.
it's-
Now, if it happens again and I clearly communicated everything to you,
Yeah.
then it's problematic.
But I found a solution for all this,
Yeah.
guys, and it's finally,
is it?
I sat down and I had to really think. You know what I really
Okay.
because
No, I really need to know.
Yeah.
I realized that everybody works off of a consequence and an incentive reward based thing.
Yeah.
So the problem is, and then I'm just speaking from my household. If I want the cups in a certain way and it's not in that way, I'm quick to have a conversation about it. But I don't say thank you or, incentivize or show some or demonstrate some type of reward for when it is that way to create the new behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So now when things are being done the way I want it to be done, I'd be like, thank you. I really appreciate that you did
I
that.
see you.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, cool. Let me continue to do this. Because I realize it'd be too much inconsistency
you're
in my
right.
own house. Like you do this one day, then you don't do it, and it's because you don't make the conscious effort. Really, because I'm not prioritizing, your reward,
Mhm.
whether it be a compliment or something
Mhm.
else, a grand gesture. Yeah, to keep them doing it and create the new habit.
If that was said to me, like, thank you so much for doing it, I would be like, okay, my man likes it this way.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I talk a lot of shit on here, but like, no, I do. I really do talk a lot of shit on here, but like the thing is, I don't ever want to be considered as a person who is ungrateful.
Yeah.
Like if you give me a gift, I'm going to call, I'm going to text. If you go out of your way, like the other day, like the weather is getting better here, so my husband knew that I wanted to take my bike out, and it's a road bike, so it needs to have a tune up for the new season or whatever. And he was like, "Hey, you want your bike tuned up?" I was like, "Yeah, thanks." He took it to the guy. He tuned it up and brought it back. He said, "Hey, your bike's in the basement." I was like, "Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it." Like I like thank you, even if it's a thanks, THX, like thank you just it goes.
Text me that.
What, THX?
THX.
Is that
That's like
bad?
HBD.
Yeah, like-
Don't even say it.
Is that bad?
Oh, that's bad because I'm like.
Imagine if you
I'm
said "I
quick
love
with
you" and
the
I text back
T,
ILY2, the number
Oh.
2.
That's not a
Oh.
good thing.
No,
And they
that's
already
just-
have
I go with the
autocorrect, so it
T,
pops up. So you could just hit the
thank
button.
you.
I had no see.
No, yeah,
No,
to me,
it's
that's
not.
like a thanks.
No, it's not. I'm very quick with the.
It's
T,
lazy. Don't be lazy
Y.
on my thank you.
It depends. If it's my mom, I'm like, she don't know no better. So like, fine.
She
Well,
texts back
I
that
don't
way.
know any better. I use THX all the
I
time.
use TY all the time.
Friends, family, if you get a TY from
have a
me, it's not
droid.
bullshit. Or THX is not
Sorry to
bullshit.
type.
So pretty much Alan wants to come to one of the sex events. That's what he just did. No,
He
I'm
wants to
joking.
learn and train and practice
Kink.
BDSM.
Kink.
Yeah.
As messed up as the sound, sometimes you can't be with somebody who's not trainable.
I think that I'm
I
sorry.
think that's a great point.
No, it is. You
Somebody just repeat that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because nobody.
wait.
can hear
Can you say it actually in your science?
She doesn't
Your
align with it.
Oh yeah. If you agree.
There is this mentality that you should only be with someone who is trainable. I wouldn't necessarily say that they need to be trainable. Like, I don't like those words, but I would say they need to be open to considering your needs, open to considering your desires and what that would look like for your relationship.
It sounds
Open.
good. It sounds
No.
good.
But here's the thing: we leave too much room. Open means considering. It does not mean implementing. So if I'm open, I'm just considering, but I'm not implementing.
but I ain't really fucking with it.
Yeah, trainable means I am doing. Like I am trained. Like, okay, hey, listen. But here's the thing: realistically, let me ask you a question. If I was to come to a session of yours, and you were to give me advice,
Mhm.
I more likely than not would have success if I implemented your advice,
Mhm.
which means I need to be trainable and receptive on who's giving me certain, I guess, advice and or guidance.
Yes, you need to be receptive to it.
Trainable.
No. I just think that the word trainable
Word
probably has
is
a,
just
a
like, yeah,
negative
not good
connotation.
for me.
It's not ugly word
Not
because
good.
But guys, there are. Let's just
Or
agree that there
I
are
would
better
prefer
words.
conditioning, right?
Yes.
So, talking about,
Conditioning is not trainable?
reinforcements,
Yes.
punishments, things like that, that is conditioning, right? And so
that's worse than
allowing
training.
No, adaptable, flexible,
flexible,
dynamic,
conditioning,
Flexible
open,
is not
receptive.
No.
I like those words because they have an element of humanness to it. I feel like when people say you're
Exactly.
training someone, you're
An
seeing them
animal?
as an animal.
What do you call somebody who works out or works people out? A
fitness
physical
instructor.
trainer.
Fitness
Okay.
instructor.
A physical trainer. I never see physical instructor in bios. Okay. I see physical trainers. Like, we have to understand that our feelings on certain words, we got to strip them. Right. I understand we don't like the word
Make
trainable,
sure we get this on camera.
but we don't like the word trainable or training of because it does seem inhumane to some. But it's the reality. If you're not trainable, if you're not coachable, right, you cannot pick up certain habits that will actually be the blueprint for your success.
So you said coachable. I agree with coachable.
But
You can be
coachable is trainable. You know, when I didn't listen to my coach, what he was thinking, like, it's the same thing. You need to be in this spot.
But she's
Discipline.
just saying, like, as a clinician, like, that's just not a good word.
Yeah, I think we're getting caught
Because
up
when
wording.
particularly a man says, "Oh, you need to," like,
Particularly a man, huh?
particularly a man.
I don't like those words.
In my clinical experience, when I'm telling a man he needs to be trainable, he's going to get defensive automatically. And so words matter. So you have to use words that are going to allow the person to hear it a little bit better so that they can act on it.
Yeah.
Training.
Orientation.
This is facts.
Training.
It is called orientation.
And they call it orientations now. A lot of people don't
Yes,
call
it
it
is called
trainings anymore.
orientation.
But it's the same thing. Tomato, right? Like training, orientation, coachable, trainable.
But you have to listen to what she's saying. She's saying if you're in a impasse with your partner, right, and you say, "Man, I just need you to be trainable." No,
No,
if
you
No.
wouldn't.
Well, I want
A
to say
lot
with
of
that.
people who would get
no,
defensive.
see, and
about
that's
that.
what I'm
I
saying.
want to say with that. I'd be like, hey, listen, babe, I need you to be more trainable. I'm gonna be more trainable. You're gonna be more trainable.
No,
We're
no,
gonna
no,
train each
no,
other.
no,
That is
no.
offensive to both
With
parties.
another girl.
Like I just don't see a man or a woman.
You saw that? You saw that? You saw what I did there?
I just don't see a man or a woman being receptive to that word because I can see a woman being like, "Who the fuck you talking
It's
to?"
offensive.
And a man being like, "Am I a dog? Like, why are you
Yeah.
even like using that
Heard
language
it
with
both
me?"
ways.
I mean,
Both ways.
again, and this is why, like, you know, I think that my age is the perfect premier age because I get both sides of the fence. If you were I played sports, so I can only think of it from a sport aspect, which is why I don't take it as so much
You're not offended.
emotion.
I play sports too,
Okay,
and
so-
I still don't take like I don't like the word.
But you probably heard it before, right? When I heard it when I was a freshman, sophomore in college, it didn't bother me. He's like, "Yo, are you coachable?"
Rico, because that is in sport. We're talking
Whenever
about in
talking about
relationships.
If you use that word in a relationship, it has a different connotation.
Right.
But it shouldn't because it's the same word with the same
Right,
principality.
and I should have
Why
40
you
acres
caught
and a
up?
mule.
Well, why get caught up?
No. My thing is, I don't even want to get caught up. I'm
Right.
just
Yeah, so yeah,
what
let's
I'm just saying is we have
there's
to
a different
we
way
just
you
have
can
to
communicate it.
understand.
But look at the reverse, Rico. The funny thing about the reverse is if you say this to someone, let's say one of Aaron's girlfriend called, what happened? That dude wasn't trainable. He was untrainable. You understand that?
that's too
Untrainable is more understanding, right?
Nobody
you're
even
not
says this in
guys,
the
we're she
No one
the point that
Actually,
the point that she's
guys
making
might have
is
said
it's
that.
using that with the actual person with whom you have the problem.
Right.
That's the problem. Like you can't be like, "Yo, you ain't trainable." Like I'm like, "All right, I ain't. Fuck out of my face," you know? Like, but you can't use those words because you want them to be receptive to what you are saying, and you don't use words with combative or negative connotations
Right.
in order to have someone buy in to whatever it is you're selling. Like it's just like, why would you create a barrier to what it is you're trying to accomplish?
I think we should normalize this. I think the first thing you should do, men and women, when you're gonna get into a relationship, you ask, are you trainable?
Lord.
Are you trainable? If you are not, especially if you're in your later on years in life, because when you're, 22, you're way more flexible because you're still finding yourself and you're finding your groove. If you are 35 and older and you're cemented in your ways, primarily, like, not primarily, but majority of your ways, you need to be like, are you trainable? I need you to be able to adapt and mold into the things that I like. These are my list of things that I like.
Yeah.
What are your lists? And if I'm not trainable
Cut.
or willing to be trained by your list, then we should not even waste the time.
Who
You
does
see how
that?
you
Who does
interchanged
that?
adaptable,
Yep. There
coachable,
you go.
flexible,
There you
all
go.
of those words in that
I
full
added
statement,
them.
right?
I added them
so
so
that
you
makes
under-
it easier. You don't even need to
Yeah.
take.
Y'all
You
heard
can
what he
take the
said, though.
training
But if you
out.
because no, the thing is this.
Rico just
it's
want
so
to battle.
funny. It's so funny
You're so
because
belligerent.
no, it's funny because Amanda is like iffy with directness. She pick and choose when she wants the direct part, right?
Why?
So
But that's
but hold on, wait, because what I'm trying to say is, if I was to say one word, but I gave you another 3 words so you understand how to receive the word without all of the definition, the context of the other words, because adaptable is super subjective, right? Adaptable could be like, yeah, I can adapt to some things, but there's some things that you can't adapt to, right? But if I say trainable, you already understand in full the good and the bad. Adaptable, I'm kind of dismissing anything that could be potentially be bad that I'm not really here for. And I think that's what we've got accustomed to, is only presenting the good or presenting the bad in such a good way so that we're not even prepared for the bad part when it does come. And it will come. So I need to tell you, hey, listen, well, I'm not in that position right now, but are you trainable? It sounds like something that we should really take into consideration.
You got, man, come on. It's literally if someone
I
had
need you to get up at 5 o'clock,
the
make my
unmitigated
breakfast. I
gall
need to
to say that to me, I'm just gonna be like, you don't know how to read a room.
Mm.
You do know you don't know, you don't understand social cues. You don't know what how to read a room. You don't know what a connotation and a denotation is, because you literally told me like that you want me to be trainable like an animal, or like something that's in a non-human form.
Especially what comes after. You're like,
Yeah, but I want to be trained too.
That's you. You may be okay with that.
exactly, but it's what he's saying after. Like, I need you to be able to wake up, make my breakfast, do this.
That was
do
a
that.
joke.
No, he was
First of all.
joking.
He was joking with that, but before, what he
She was
said
quick to
no,
remember something,
but
right?
before, what
He
did
said
say
flexible,
before?
adaptable.
Okay, but for his needs.
Oh wait.
So, yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
He was like, I need you to be trainable to.
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Okay.
do
You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
At
it's
the end,
just like, if you present that to anybody, who is going to take that in a positive way?
Right.
A lot of people. Someone who's serious.
5 in the morning and do this and that. She said, "Okay, can I train you? Like, what do you need? Well, for me to make your breakfast, I need you to do this and do this." And be like, "Yeah, I could train to do that."
First of all,
Can we get the
anybody-
clinician's
First
perspective?
of all, that was a joke, so let's not run with it. Because if anyone ever even said, "I need you to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and
It's
make my
crazy.
breakfast," I'm gonna say, who are you talking to?
But you know what's crazy to me?
I don't even need you to say, like, "Are you trainable?" Like, that sentence is enough, because, like, what are you expecting of this relationship right now? Are you expecting me to serve you, or are we going into a partnership?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, a partnership, usually a healthy one, you're serving each other, right? In some way, aspect, or form.
True.
I think that we've gotten to la la land and subjectiveness when we get into relationships. But the reality is, if I go to school and they say, okay, you want to be a lawyer? These are all the things you must complete, and these are the times you must be there. These are the due dates of every assignment. If I go to a job before I get hired, you need to be at work at 8 a.m. You get off at 9 p.m. Your lunch is at 1 p.m. We are already so used to structure on our day-to-day life and everything else. The fact that we now bring in structure in the initial aspect of dating, it becomes inhumane. But it's realistically, no, we are operating on a structural basis your entire life, and you need to be including it in every aspect and form. And then that way you might have more success, because you can either say, just like when you go to college or when you go to your job, you can either say, I'm going to take this job, I'm going to take this opportunity, or I'm going to leave it. I know what it entails. I know what I don't like about this. I know what I do like. I know what I can live with. And no one is doing that, which is why the dating pool is filled with piss now and everybody's upset.
But because hold on, because wait, no. But
Wait,
okay,
that's
things
crazy.
are not very clear though. See, that's the thing. If you're saying like you're going to law school, like you said, it's very clear your expectation.
It's the path.
It's outlined for you. This is what we expect from you so that you can succeed in this program. In relationships, it's never that clear. People don't know how to communicate with each other.
So many
People
factors.
don't know. There are factors, there's variables, there's communication styles. So people are walking around, whether they're passive aggressive, whether they expect you to read their minds. People don't communicate clearly, like, hey, in this relationship, this is what I expect, right? This is what I expect.
Yeah.
Now let's figure out, are we supposed to be? It's never that way.
That's the problem.
It is.
Because we got to close out in a little bit. So I'm going to say this. So if we come back to that, is it fair to say if you got with somebody off the door, out of 30 days, I need sex 20. If that's going to be a problem for you, let me know now. oh, I only like to have sex 10 times. Are you trainable to do 20?
Nobody's doing that.
Or trainable to do 10, either
Nobody's doing that. I don't like
or am I trainable to do 10?
Realistically,
Nobody's doing
I
that.
understand what you're saying
Y'all
about
beating this
structure.
horse. I know that.
Exactly, because I understand what you're saying about structure. It's absolutely true, but it just doesn't, like, presenting it in a way that, like, asking are you trainable is just not appropriate to me. Like, that's just not it. If you're going into a relationship, you guys are usually talking about what fulfills you in a relationship. You're saying, you know, what you like, what your love language is. I feel like those are common conversations that you have, and along the way you learn each other very specifically so that you guys fit a certain dynamic. You don't ask someone like, are you trainable?
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of people are set in their ways, so they need to be trainable.
So, regardless of semantics
you.
between the training, the coaching, whatever you want to call it, it's, you have to recognize that you don't want to take away people's freedom of choice.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, we
So,
do.
yes, in the beginning, you try to talk about these are the things that I need in a relationship. These are my expectations in a relationship. You don't necessarily come out saying, are you coachable? Are you trainable? You can say, these are the things that make me feel loved. Can you provide that for me? And leave it. If they say yes, amazing. If they say no, then you have your answer. You have to decide for yourself, because you have free will to be able to say, yes, I'm going to deal with this, or no, I'm just going to, cut my losses and move on.
Like this.
All right, so I'm just gonna read off some of these so we can have it for the show. So sexual drive versus sexual desire. So sexual desire is the mental part, the one we think of as libido. This means that your libido has to do more with your brain than your genitals. Sexual arousal is the physical part. So it's the physical response of lubricating or getting and sustaining an erection. So sex drive, women with stronger drives may be attracted to both sexes. Men have a stronger sex drive than women, allegedly. I don't know. That's what they say.
First
And-
35 years.
What
Allegedly.
is it? And this gender difference is evident in cross-cultural research involving men and women from 53 countries. Yeah. In each nation study, men, of course, self-reporting, men self-reported stronger sex drives than women. But that's the problem with self-reporting. It unfortunately it's subjective.
I think that we confuse sex drive with sex appetite.
So what's the
I
difference?
mean, there's three different.
Because I can have sex with 100 different girls in 30
Definitions.
days, but I can't have sex 100 times with one girl in 30 days. That's too much.
So what's the difference? I mean, I don't know. Can you tell us the difference? I don't
That
know.
make sense?
Appetite and desire.
And
Appetite,
desire.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
we have the definition for desire.
No, appetite isn't on here. I gave
Appetite,
I
I've
gave
never-
She's saying it's equivalent, right? The desire.
No,
and
no,
the
no.
appetite?
I was saying
See, when you have when you have a desire for something, that means you're able to consume it,
the same thing.
right? So, like, I think what Rico's saying, like, he has the ability, but not necessarily the desire. So, if he has the same woman, he has the ability to have sex with her 100 times, but he might not have the desire to do it. But give him 100 different women, he'll definitely have the desire to have sex 100 times.
and he gonna get that package.
Why you gonna wish the worst on me? That's crazy.
The probability is high on that.
It's only
one,
100
so I'm just
women.
saying.
Was that? Did we categorize
It's
these
only 100
definitions
women. That's
correctly?
not even a lot.
Okay.
That's 100 girls a
Definitely.
lot.
This says that some of the benefits to an active sex life. It says that I guess your well-being and you have a better quality of life. People who have an active sex life may be more physically fit, happier, have better cognitive function,
Mhm.
have an increased life expectancy, have a better immune function, have a lower heart rate and blood pressure,
Yeah.
and experience less stress.
Oh, yes.
Those are all
But
benefits.
that's
of
why. And then
sex
y'all
and
wonder why men
orgasms.
be doing what they do. You just heard what he said. There's so many benefits.
One thing that I don't think was mentioned that's important to note as well is that when it comes to desire, people tend to fall in two different categories. We have folks who have more spontaneous desire, meaning that they can kind of just like think about sex and they're ready to go. They want to have sex.
Immediately.
Or there might be folks who have more responsive desire, which is they need to be physiologically aroused first for them to think about wanting sex. So when we work with folks, it's trying to figure out, okay, which category do they fall into? And a lot of times, couples that come in with issues with desire discrepancy, there's one person who has a spontaneous desire and one person who has a responsive
I have a
desire.
question.
I used to be spontaneous.
How does liquor work into all of this? Because I feel like it probably changes that dynamic.
Drugs and alcohol definitely lowers inhibition. So it allows us to be more open and more free in certain things, right? Because there literally is chemical changes going on that is allowing us to just be like, fuck it.
So we should just implement more drugs and alcohol. in our
No,
relationship.
Definitely not what
because
she's saying.
people also want to make sure that they have control of and consent involved in their
Oh,
sexual.
no, I'm talking about in the actual
experience.
relationship, you know. All right, guys.
Possibly, it can enhance. Yes.
So thank you so much for coming. This has been an amazing show. I'm so glad that you were able to really just like shed some like clinical, scientific, data-driven information with us. But I want you to like leave us with something based on your experience, based on what you're seeing, based on what you're doing. Like what advice, last words of advice, what do you have for us?
I always say, just give yourself some grace, right? As human beings, we go through a lot of different experiences that can be problematic, can be traumatic, and can influence the way we connect and react to our partners and the things that are happening or not happening in this. And I also like to say that what we talked about was not clinical therapy in any type of way, right? You definitely want to talk to a trained professional, someone who specializes in relationships and
A what
sexuality.
professional?
A, tr-
A what
a
professional?
trained
Oh my
professional. You could
goodness.
get that. You could get that on that one. Who specializes in sexuality and relationships to help you get through some of the difficulties you might be experiencing. And you can talk to me if you're in New Jersey.
Right. And where can they find you?
Tell 'em.
Go ahead, pub yourself. What you got going on? Where can they find you?
Yes.
Everything.
Of course, I'm on Instagram, NJ_sex therapist. You can go to my website, bluewellnesscenter.com. If you are in the state of New Jersey and would like mental health or sex therapy. And, you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the best places to find me at.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. Any last words before we run out?
No, I'm straight. This was great.
All right.
Bar.
Love having you.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is an amazing show. I hope you guys learned something or heard something you've never heard before, something that you can implement in your own life and your own relationships. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon. Sign up for our memberships, our subscriptions. We got everything under the sun because the lights got to stay on. We love y'all, so keep supporting us. Thank y'all.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.